So I want to talk about a core wound that is within the collective consciousness, which impacts, I would say, everybody. Obviously I don't know everybody, so that might not be 100% the truth, but it definitely impacts a lot of people. And that is the wound of not being enough, not being smart enough, not being pretty enough, not being successful enough, not being wealthy enough, not being enough in so many ways. That wound is so deep rooted within our collective, and until we actually acknowledge and accept that we feel that wound, well, we can't really start to dissolve it and heal it with the truth. And we heal it with the truth. Now, you can spend years and years and years and decades healing that wound, or you can accept the truth. And the truth is that that's not you. Watch this video on true self, false self. The truth is that's not who we are. The not enoughness is a program, is a program that's been inserted purposely into the collective through different mind control technologies like the TV, like media, all the systems that have been infiltrated to make us feel not good enough, comparing us to another. If we don't get the right grades, we don't measure up to our siblings. You may have a parent that has this wound so deeply that they feel so unlovable and not enough that they directly project that onto you as a child. But even parents that don't directly project it onto you as a child, because most people suffer from this not enoughness, have inherited it from their parents, then you inherit it from your parents. You, in the womb, you soak in those programs. You're coming in often to this life carrying that subconscious wound of not being enough. So it runs through the ancestral line. And it's everywhere. Think about teenagers at school, 14, 15, 16, the pressure that is put onto a teenager to get certain grades. They feel so much pressure, and they feel like if they don't get the grades that their life is over at 16. It's insanity, and it's an insanity that we are waking up from, thankfully. But that creates that not enoughness. So even if you look back at your childhood like I do and think I had such a loving mom, such a loving dad, my mum was always telling me that I was enough, because she had the opposite experience. She was very conscious about letting me know that I was enough, because she knew how painful it was for her. But because she felt like that, I still soaked that in. And it took me until my mid-30s to even admit that I felt like that. I couldn't even admit to myself that I didn't feel smart enough. And that was a real deep core wound for me. I couldn't even admit it because it felt so uncomfortable and painful. And I'd been doing everything in my life to move away from that, overworking, overstudying, to move away from that feeling of not being smart enough. But once I admitted it to myself, once I acknowledged that I felt like that, I realized it didn't mean that I was bad. It didn't mean that I was weak. It didn't mean that I was wrong. Then I could start to heal it. Now, I did embark on a huge healing journey, and when you look back, I was always on that journey. I just didn't realize. And the journey is of awakening. It's awakening to the true self. It's awakening to the fact that we are multi-dimensional beings. We come from God, source, consciousness. We are connected to a sea of consciousness, to a web of consciousness. We are not separate from each other. We are connected to each other, and we each are here to grow and expand the soul and to wake up. Right now we are in an epic point in our evolution. We are at the ascension timeline point. We are ascending in consciousness, individually as humans, collectively as humanity, and planetary as the planet. And throughout the galaxy, we are ascending, and we are moving from this lower level of consciousness of not enoughness, of lack, of forgetting who we are, of feeling like we are bad, we are wrong, into a higher level of consciousness, of remembering that this is an illusion. This is not the truth of who we are. Think of it this way. It's like we're in a movie. It's like we have written an epic, and it is epic, story, and we each come in and play characters in this story which we agreed to come into, and we agreed to forget ourselves so that we could remember the self, so we could have the joy and the bliss of waking up from the dream, of remembering who we are. And as we are in this story, it's like when you forget yourself, so think of it this way. When you're watching a movie, so you're watching a movie and you get so invested in the characters that you can be moved to tears, laughter, you can feel joy, you can feel deep grief and sadness, and it feels so real. You are in it. All your senses are in that story, and it feels so real to us that we will talk to our friends and family about it as if these actors and actresses are those characters. In fact, we can even judge a person playing a role if that role that they're playing is a character that we don't connect to or we don't like, that creates anger, fear within us. We can judge that person and see that person as that character. And that is what's happened to us. We've come into these lives which we chose, which we agreed to. We agreed to experience certain things to grow and expand the soul. And we got so lost. We got so lost in the mind. We moved away from the heart. We forgot the heart, which is the connection to God, source consciousness, to all that is, that was, that ever will be, to all answers, everything connected. The gateway is the heart. We got so lost in the mind that we really threw ourselves in. We became those characters. We got so pulled in emotionally that we forgot the truth of who we are. So we started to believe that we were not enough, that we weren't good enough, that there was something wrong with us. We started to look at another. Well, we were, manipulated to look at others and compare ourselves and say, well, her body is nicer than my body, therefore I am not enough. I know when I was a teenager, the big thing that the mind control agenda was pushing was having your boobs, having bigger boobs, and as someone with small boobs, I was made to feel like there was something wrong with me. I wasn't a woman. I wasn't attractive. I wasn't good enough because of the size of my boobs, which is insanity to me now. But at the time, I was vulnerable, and when you're seeing all these images, when you're bombarded with it and you're being told this is what is attractive, this is what's normal, you are not, then you can't help but get attached to that and feel not enough. So there's so many things out there that have made us feel that way. We've got caught in our own movie. But as you wake up, as you start to discover the self, you start to realize that is not the truth. That is not who you are. That's not who I am, and it is not who you are. Nobody on this planet, you have come here as a soul to learn, to grow and expand, and you are enough. You are more than enough. And there is a label that we give to feeling not enough at work, and it's called imposter syndrome. And the imposter it's not you. It's not the true you. The imposter is that program. That program is an artificial, intelligent, negatively seeded program that has been inserted subconsciously into many areas of society to make us we took it on and we believed it was us. It's not true. So you can dissolve that wound of not being good enough by simply starting to acknowledge the truth of who you are, starting to remember the truth of who you are, which is enough, which is more than enough. So I asked myself this question the other day. Because I've been working through that program for some time, and I'm finally at a point now where I have released the majority of that program. That program is rooted deep within us. It comes from past lives. It's passed on through the lineage. It is rooted deep within us, but it's just a change in perspective. It's just a realization that we don't need to hold on to that lie anymore, because it is a lie. It's not the truth, it's an illusion, it's a lie. So I asked myself this question to sever the last part of that root. Why hold on to the lie when the truth is so much more beautiful? I'll leave you with that. Thank you.